4 MVP awards, 3 championships, 2 Olympic gold medals. At just 29 years old, A'ja Wilson has shattered every ceiling in women's basketball and rewritten the record books in ways nobody thought possible. But the journey to becoming the most decorated player in WNBA history started in the most unlikely place, with a girl who couldn't read, who was called lazy, and who almost gave up before she ever picked up a basketball professionally. Hopkins, South Carolina, population barely over 2,000, a quiet cul-de-sac where a young A'ja Wilson grew up, the daughter of Roscoe Wilson Jr., a former professional basketball player in Europe, and Eva Rakes, a court stenographer. This wasn't some basketball factory churning out prodigies. A'ja wasn't the kid waking up at 5 a.m. to shoot 1,000 free throws in the driveway. She just wanted to ride her bike, hang out with friends, and figure out where she fit in. But fitting in wasn't easy for a tall, freckle-faced girl attending Heathwood Hall Episcopal School, a predominantly white private institution with yearly tuition hitting 20 grand. While her classmates breezed through reading assignments, A'ja struggled in silence, battling something she didn't yet understand. Every time a teacher called on her to read aloud, panic set in. The words on the page seemed to jumble and rearrange themselves. She could read, technically, but comprehension escaped her like water through her fingers. Teachers didn't see a learning disability. They saw laziness. You're just not trying hard enough, A'ja. But here's the thing. She was trying harder than anyone in that classroom. She was fighting a battle nobody could see, and slowly it was breaking her. The diagnosis didn't come until her sophomore year of high school dyslexia. Finally, a name for the monster that had haunted her since elementary school. But instead of relief, depression and anxiety followed. In a world where being different felt like a death sentence, having a learning disability made her feel broken. What nobody talks about is how close she came to letting that diagnosis define her, to letting it become an excuse to quit. But then she thought about her grandmother, Hattie Rakes, who as a child couldn't even step foot on the University of South Carolina campus because of the color of her skin. If her grandmother could endure that, A'ja could endure this. South Carolina changed everything. When Dawn Staley came into her life, it wasn't just a coach-player relationship. Staley became her second mom, the one who pushed her harder than anyone else while protecting her from a world that didn't always understand. Under Staley's guidance at the University of South Carolina, A'ja didn't just play basketball. She dominated it. The 2017 NCAA championship was South Carolina's first ever, and A'ja was the most outstanding player of the tournament. She became the all-time leading scorer in Gamecocks history. 3 straight SEC Player of the Year awards, a record nobody had touched before. By the time she graduated in 2018 as a consensus All-American and Wooden Award winner, her legacy was cemented. Then came something unprecedented. South Carolina retired her jersey, making her the first woman in school history to receive that honor. They didn't stop there. A statue of A'ja Wilson now stands outside Colonial Life Arena, immortalizing a girl who once struggled to believe in herself. The WNBA came calling in 2018, and surprise, A'ja was the #1 overall pick by the Las Vegas Aces. But this wasn't some feel-good Cinderella story where everything clicked immediately. This was a franchise that had been failing in San Antonio before relocating to Vegas, a team desperate for an identity. A'ja gave them 1 Rookie of the Year in her first season, 7 All-Star appearances. But the real magic started in 2020, during the COVID bubble in Florida. While the world was falling apart, A'ja was putting it back together on the court. Her first MVP award came that season, and here's a wild stat. She didn't attempt a single three-pointer that entire year. 0, not 1. She was dominating purely on skill, strength, and basketball IQ. Then came 2022 and 2023, and the Aces finally broke through. Back-to-back championships. After 21 years of franchise failure, Coach Becky Hammon had arrived and transformed not just the team's strategy, but their mentality. A'ja was no longer just a star. She was a champion, but something was eating at her. Let's talk about 2024, because this is where the story gets insane. A'ja Wilson became a unanimous MVP, only the second player in WNBA history to sweep every first-place vote. She became the first player ever to reach 1,000 points in a single season. Her scoring average of 26.9 points per game, league record. She was putting up numbers that made people question if we were watching the greatest individual season in basketball history, men's or women's. But here's the twist that fueled everything that came next. Despite all those historic achievements, she didn't win Finals MVP. In 2023, Breanna Stewart took home the regular season MVP that year, and Aja got a controversial fourth-place vote that left her finishing third overall. The disrespect burned. People were writing think pieces about whether she was actually the best player in the league. The doubt crept in from everywhere. And then Paris happened. The 2024 Olympics. Aja led Team USA to gold, dominating in the final against France with 21 points and 13 rebounds while the entire arena roared against them. She proved she could perform on the world's biggest stage under suffocating pressure. She returned to Vegas with momentum, with fire, with something to prove. Then 2025 arrived, and it looked like it might all fall apart. The Aces started 11-11 at the All-Star break. People were writing them off, saying the dynasty was over, that maybe Aja wasn't built to carry a team through adversity. Then came August 2nd, 2025. The Minnesota Lynx demolished the Aces by 53 points on national television. 53 points. The worst loss in franchise history. The second biggest blowout in the entire history of the WNBA. Aja left Michelob Ultra Arena that day feeling ashamed she'd never experienced on a basketball court. But instead of breaking, she did something different. She sent a text message to her teammates. Not just any text, a gut check that demanded they look at themselves and ask if they were really willing to fight. Coach Becky Hammon followed up by making the team create their own scouting reports, forcing accountability before she ever walked into the room, and then something unprecedented happened. 16 straight wins to close the season. Not 15, not 14, 16. Tied for the second longest winning streak in WNBA history. During that stretch, Aja averaged 26.1 points and 12 rebounds while shooting over 50% from the field and nearly 60% from three-point range. The Aces went from 8th place to the number 2 seed, from laughingstock to unstoppable. And Aja, she was just getting started. By the time the regular season ended, she'd led the league in scoring for the second straight year. But the hardware kept piling up. Co-Defensive Player of the Year, her third time winning that award, tying the all-time record. Then came the big one, record-breaking 4th MVP award, the first player in WNBA history to win 4 times, surpassing legends like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and Lauren Jackson. At just 29 years old, she'd already accomplished more than players twice her age. Coach Becky Hammon said it best. By the time it's all said and done, she will be the greatest to ever do it. But Aja wasn't done. The playoffs came, and she put on a masterclass. On August 10th, she became the first player in WNBA history to record 30 points and 20 rebounds in the same game. Later that month, she became the first to record multiple seasons with at least 10 30-point games. Every record that could be broken, she broke. Then came the finals against the Phoenix Mercury. 4 games. That's all it took. A clean sweep, her third championship in 4 years. And the cherry on top? Finals MVP. Aja Wilson became the first player in WNBA or NBA history to win the regular season MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, and championship all in the same season. Unmatched, unprecedented, undeniable. But let's talk about what nobody wants to discuss. The hate, the criticism, the constant need to prove herself in ways that other players never have to. In 2024, Aja made comments about playing in Indiana that sparked massive controversy. She said she dreaded being there, not because of the city, but because of the environment. The backlash was swift and brutal. Fans accused her of lying, of being dramatic, of trying to downplay the excitement around Caitlin Clark and the fever. Then there was the resurfaced video of Aja discussing white privilege during a college game, where she praised Paige Bueckers for understanding how her privilege helped her. Social media erupted, with people pointing out that Aja herself attended a private school with $20,000 tuition. The hypocrisy accusations flew. Then came the Olympic excuse controversy. After the Aces lost in the 2024 finals, Aja mentioned how having 6 Olympians on the roster made their schedule brutal, while other teams had their whole roster to train and rest. People called it sour grapes, said she was making excuses. When Shaquille O'Neal suggested lowering the WNBA rims to make dunking easier and increase excitement, Aja pushed back. "What is it gonna do?" she asked, standing her ground against one of the biggest names in basketball. And when rumors spread that she was offered more money than Caitlin Clark to join the unrivaled league, fans raged, claiming Clark deserved more because she brought more eyes to the league. Through all of it, the criticism, the hate, the constant questioning, Aja kept showing up, kept dominating, kept proving that nobody could touch her. Off the court, Aja's impact might be even bigger than her on-court dominance. In 2019, she and her parents founded the Aja Wilson Foundation, dedicated to helping kids struggling with dyslexia and bullying. She wanted to be the resource she never had, to show young people that learning disabilities don't define your limits. She launched Burnt Wax Candle Company with her mother, Eva, building a business outside basketball. In May 2024, she released the Nike A1 signature shoe, the first hot pink signature sneaker in WNBA history, becoming only the 13th player in league history with a signature shoe. She wrote a New York Times best-selling memoir called Dear Black Girls. Time magazine named her one of their Women of the Year in 2025. And in February 2025, she confirmed her relationship with Miami Heat star Bam Adebayo, who'd been supporting her journey publicly and proudly rocking her signature shoes during NBA games, the iconic single-leg sleeve she wears. That started as injury management but became a fashion trend that swept through basketball. Nike even partnered with her to design leggings specifically for that look. Everything Aja touches turns to gold. And she's doing it all while carrying the weight of being the face of women's basketball. At 29, Aja Wilson has already built a legacy that most players dream about. 4 MVP awards, 3 championships, 2 finals MVPs, 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, 2 Olympic gold medals, records that may never be broken. But here's the thing that should terrify the rest of the WNBA. She's not done, not even close. Coach Becky Hammond said, "The fact that she's not even 30 yet is crazy because she still has a lot left in the tank. She could win 4 more MVPs by the time she's finished." The 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles are on the horizon. More championships are within reach. More records will fall. The question isn't whether Aja Wilson will go down as the greatest women's basketball player of all time. That debate is basically over. The question now is just how far ahead of everyone else she'll be when she finally hangs it up. From the girl who was called lazy because she couldn't read, to the woman who rewrote basketball history with her own hands, Aja Wilson's story is about more than basketball. It's about resilience, about proving doubters wrong, about turning pain into power and obstacles into opportunities. She's not just the most dominant force in WNBA history. She's proof that greatness isn't born. It's built through struggle, through failure, through refusing to quit when the world tells you you're not good enough. And somewhere in South Carolina, a statue stands outside an arena, reminding everyone that the impossible is only impossible until someone like Aja Wilson comes along and does it anyway.